Good day, everyone. I am Anne Rose Ramig. So today I will be discussing about the chapter 11. So this chapter, I am the first reporter and followed by Helen Tingkalan and John Wendell Rimuluna. Chapter 11 Results Concept on Nation Building. Here's our objectives. At the end of the chapter, the student should be able to first, understand nationalism on the context on Rizal's love for our country. Second, identify the heroic actions of Rizal in conceiving a society independent from Spain. And lastly, appreciate the actions taken by Rizal towards reformation. I assure you that I have no desire to take part in conspiracies, which seem to me very premature and risky. But if the government drives us to the brink, that is to say, when no other hope remains, seek our destruction in war. When the Filipinos would prefer to die rather than endure their misery any longer, then I will also become a partisan of violent means. The choice of peace or destruction is in the hands of Spain, because it is a clear fact known to all that we are patient, excessively patient and peaceful, mind and feeling, etc. But everything ends in this life. There is nothing eternal in the world, and that refers also to our patience. So that means that the people do not want to join any secret plans or dangerous activities because it is too risky. However, if the government pushes them too far and leaves with no other choice, and if Filipinos would rather die than continue suffering, then they would still also fight. So, the decision to have peace or war depends on Spain because Filipinos are very patient and peaceful. However, but However, patience does not last forever. One day, Filipino will stop enjoying their suffering and fight back. The reforms needed by the Philippines, according to Rizal, as stated in his works. Rizal's blueprint in nation building. Rizal's political conviction and concept of nationalism matured between 1882 and 1887. From a distance, he gained a better perspective of his country's problems. He saw his country abused, maligned by vices of the Spaniards and the Filipinos alike, helpless with their oppressed, unhappy people. The country inspired in him not inky sympathy, but an enduring love. He began to understand now that the prolonged subjugation of his people was caused primarily by two factors, namely the absence of national consciousness and the poor training and education of the people. Jose Rizal's sense of nationship grew stronger between 1882 and 1887. While he was away from the Philippines, he was able to see more clearly the problem his country was facing. So he noticed both the Spanish rulers and some Filipinos were mistreating the people who were suffering and felt hopeless. Rizal didn't just feel sorry for them, he developed a deep and lasting love for his country. He realized that the main reason for the continuing suffering of Filipinos were the lack of national awareness and the poor education they receive. His blueprint for nation building includes the importance of education, instilling racial pride and dignity among the people, the promotion of national consciousness, the reorientation of values and attitudes, and the willingness to sacrifice for the country. So Rizal's plan for building a nation focused on educating the people and helping them feel proud of their identity and race. He believed it was important to raise awareness about the country's situation, change people's values and attitudes for the better, and encourage a strong sense of love and sacrifice for the nation. Rizal looked upon education as a prerequisite to the realization of people's freedom. It is through education that people obtain knowledge of themselves as individuals and as a members of a nation. He insisted on educating his people so that they may successfully eradicate the vices of their society. He wanted them to develop a national awareness of their rights and pride in their country's heritage and culture.
So Rizal believed that education is very important for the people to become free. And he thought that through learning, people can understand themselves better and become good members of their country. So he wanted to teach his fellow Filipinos so they could fix the problems in their society. Rizal also hoped that education would help people know their rights and feel proud of their country's history and culture.
The long period of domination and the constant humiliations and discrimination experienced by the Filipino people from their colonial masters produced a feeling of inferiority and a lack of racial pride and dignity. This attitude must give way to a restoration of the people's sense of pride in them as a nation. Rizal wanted to inculcate into his people an understanding of history, from which he believed sprung the roots of genuine nationalism. Without these roots, nationalism would degenerate into a flippant, flag waving category which be criticized in No Limit Hungary and El Filibusterismo.
So the long time of being controlled and mistreated by colonial rulers made Filipinos feel inferior and lacking in national pride. So Jose Rizal wanted to change this by teaching Filipinos about their history, believing a true understanding of their past and create a strong national pride. So he warned that without this understanding, nationalism would become shallow and meaningless, something he criticized in his famous novels No Limit Tangheri and El Filibusterismo.
Rizal emphasized that the task of nation building is accompanied by hardships and sufferings which the people must inevitably experience to bolster their courage. The sacrifice experienced by a people strengthen their bonds of unity and their sense of independence.
So Rizal believed that building a nation is difficult and involved hardships and suffering. He thought that going through these challenges would make people stronger and more courageous. He also felt that shared sacrifices would unite people and strengthen their desire for independence.
The paramount problem during Rizal's time was the development of a national consciousness, that is, the creation of the spirit of nationhood in the minds of the people. It was important that the people realized the sordid facts of their existence, the cause of their oppression, and the sacrifices they must endure to be freed from the colonial domination.
So during Rizal's time, the biggest challenge was developing a sense of national identity, making Filipinos feel like a unified nation. It was crucial for people to understand their difficult lives, why they were being oppressed, and the sacrifices needed to be free from colonial rulers.
Rizal envisioned a nation of individuals who would make responsible and independent judgment and who would think in terms that welfare of the whole community. Hence, a national community would be created where the fruits of Filipino labor would benefit the people and not a foreign master.
Rizal imagined a nation of people who could think for themselves, make good decisions, and care about everyone in the country. He wanted a strong national community where Filipinos would benefit from their own hard work, not just enriching foreign rulers. And that's all for my report, and thank you for listening.